Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. It's Glurmit here, and yeah, I'm wearing my football shirt today. I just got back from the football. Long day. I'll be honest guys, I don't know if you're football fans, but it was the most boring game ever. And if you've ever seen a championship game in your life, that's the league that the team I support is in. You can probably guess who I'm talking about, what team. Anyway, that's not the point. Today's video is obviously Galaxy of Heroes, right? And in today's video, specifically, we are looking at characters who work at low gear. So guys, this is one of those videos that is just aimed at people in the earlier to very early mid-tier of the game. All right, we're not talking late game, because at late game, guys, you need data crunch, you need everything else to keep up. We already know that, and you can't really get away with low gear teams because you need these, and these need relics. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, yeah, this is aimed at those people in the early game. So if you are a late game player, or just past the point of needing lots of teams that are decent at low gears, why not leave some recommendations down in the comments for people who might read it and get some value. Right guys, so in terms of the teams, a lot of them are the tried and true over time. All of these work at low gear, and all of these can kill teams at relic when they are not the same relic level. In fact, most of these will even work below gear 12. Although nowadays I'd say gear 12 is the minimum you should be taking teams to. These are all fantastic teams to have. The first one is obviously Imperial Troopers. This team literally is all about speed. If you go first, you're probably going to win. And just bear in mind, with all these low gear teams, the reason they're so efficient, so effective, is because you're using them against teams which they more or less hard counter. Imperial Troopers, fantastic. At low gear, they can be beating those Relic Zori teams as long as you're outspeeding them. You can use them to beat those Darth Revan teams. You can use them to beat many teams in the games, guys. As long as you're going before the enemy team, even with low gear, you're going to be fine. Obviously, if you want to increase your odds of winning, then you might want a Relic Dark Trooper, but it's not a necessity with this team, because it's all about the turn meter. Also, bear in mind, this is a team that everyone in the early game should be building, because it's very common for people in the early game to be pushing for Executor, which is one of the best farms, in my opinion, for new accounts. So if you're in that sort of position, Imperial Troopers, guys, fantastic team, nice and easy to farm, can use low gear. Now the next team is going to be Night Sisters. Now again guys, this is such a good team low gear. I would say there's only one character in this team, possibly two, that I would say need a relic. Daka is the only one. You can take Daka to relic, mod her well. The rest of the team does not matter about mods here, guys. You can also do the same for Asajj, because she's obviously your damage dealer if you're using her, say, against Jabba. And I can tell you now, this team does work, at least for two-shots in Jabba teams, even at low gear. But you do need the relic investment then in Daka and the specific modding so that you don't get too many thermals and die. But you can use this low gear, guys. So it's another amazing team. Sorry guys, got a bit distracted then. I was so busy today, I ordered some food. And I'm obviously, you guys will see this tomorrow, but I'm recording this before the stream tonight. And I was very worried it wouldn't come before the stream, but it's coming, guys. So anyways, sorry guys, I'm on the grind of making videos. This isn't the first video I've been editing today. So we've been taking a while to get them pumped out. Back to the video at hand. Night Sisters, like I said, amazing low gear team. You're going to want to farm Merrin at some point for Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. You can leave her gear 12, guys. I was using her gear 12 for so long. And you can see, even on my account, I haven't got good relic levels on this. And you can go even lower. Obviously, like I said, if you want to be efficient, you can maybe just relic Daka, take her to like R7. At the most, R5 is probably where you need her. And mod her well. The rest of the team, don't worry about it, guys. You don't need high gear on this team, but it does work amazingly well. You can beat Jabba teams, you can beat Adrad teams. There's so many teams in this game that this beats. One of my favorite teams in this game, and one of my favorite teams for accessibility. I honestly think Night Sisters should be one of the earlier factions you should be farming, and you understand why I'm saying factions very shortly. Right guys, so the next team is Bad Batch, and Bad Batch is one of those ones that they are Kairatech heavy. Obviously, for people in the later game, you're going to have them up for Lord Vader, or maybe you don't. But for the most part, this is more of an early game issue and mid game issue. And depending on how late into the game you are, maybe it's an issue for everyone. Chirotecs are awful, and Bad Batch do take up a lot. So I understand not farming them, but this is a fantastic team to use. Fantastic team to build, even to gear 8, 9, or 10. You know, you're really just relying on Echo and Tech, Stunning. Again, you'll use them against certain teams. I'll be honest, guys, Bad Batch is probably the team that's aged the worst, in my opinion, out of all of these ones here. Because Imperial Troopers, they've always been one of those teams that once you stop seeing the teams they can beat on defense, they're just not as good. But you see those teams so common, so many times in the early to mid tier. And I understand people will say, oh, but what about Malgus? Guys, the Imperial Troopers will also work fine in 3v3. Back to Bad Batch, they do work amazingly well. They work with low gear, it just depends on your speeds. It's still a really nice team to have. Then we have Trey and Nihilus, probably the best team on this list in terms of just raw efficiency. You can beat amazing teams with them at even gear 12, guys. And not even just that, if you're in Grand Arena and you have Trey as Omicron, you have them gear 12, you can just set up easy wins. You go up against General Skywalker, you can do Nihilus lead, insta-kill General Skywalker. Even if you die after this point, it's still easy cleanup. That might be a difference between a win and a loss. In Grand Arena, you can use them to effectively two-man Jabba teams. You can use them to two-man other teams such as Lord Vader, because Maul will kind of kill himself. Is a little bit funny. Although that one you do need a tank in there who's probably going to be decently invested. It's a good team, guys, for sure. I'm well aware that Lord Vader and Jabba do basically cancel out the Omicron. This works TW, GAC, you name it. But obviously with the Omicron, you can use it to beat other teams. Adrad teams become a joke. Gungan teams become a joke. So really, really good team. Do recommend this wholeheartedly. Then we have Palpatine Mara Jade. If you're talking early game teams, guys, this is the team for me. Palpatine Mara Jade, as long as you go first, it's a win. You can chuck Vader in there if you want, but most of the time you don't need him. And it works at low gear. Obviously, I'd recommend you don't just leave them at low gear. Mara Jade obviously is needed for Starkiller unlock. Palpatine's obviously needed for a couple of GL unlocks. Amazing team to have, and eventually it transitions to Starkiller. Team itself, always worth farming this team, guys. Works at low gear, as long as you have the mods. Then we have Geos, and Geos is a weird one, because I wasn't going to include this. And I'm well aware Poggle has his Omicron, that also increases the value, although for me personally, the value goes down as you move towards the later game. Mainly because Poggle Omicron doesn't have that much offensive viability. And at one point, people will kind of figure out counters. But for most people, Poggle Omicron's amazing, right? But in terms of the low gear viability, the reason I've listed Geos here is because they are one of the greatest cleanup teams in this game. And the cleanup does not lose effectiveness with relic investment. So you can use this team at gear 12 across the board, you know, what temple mission level. And you can use this for cleaning up Rays. You can use it for cleaning up so many teams in this game. Obviously, if you take them up the relic levels, that effectiveness goes up. But you don't need to. So, Geos is really in here because it's the king and queen. I don't know if Brood Alpha is... Anyway, it's just a very good team. Next, we have the new Night Sisters, guys. I've included Peridia, Death Trooper, and Night Trooper in here. You don't have to have these in here. We've discussed this in previous videos. But this team in general, very, very good at low gear. I was testing it in my GAX, and unfortunately I didn't get the footage I thought I was going to. However, I have looked at the data extensively, and I can promise you guys, this beats a lot of teams at low gear. I think the problem is, like with anything, once you get to a certain point, people start modding, and the teams just become that much better that low gear kind of becomes less viable. But yeah, this is an amazing team. You can beat so many things with this, and you can set up so many two-shots with this team, which is the best thing about it. For example, teams that this excels at in general, you wouldn't win with low gear, but you can only set up two shots. Queen Amidala, because you're effectively removing that protection, makes your life a lot easier. You can two-shot, or even one-shot Jar Jar teams. Again, it's just hard counters. It's completely removing that protection mechanic. It's a really, really nice team to have. Next we've got Phoenix. Guys, if anyone has farmed Captain Rex, you probably have at this point. Yeah, it's worth using this. Again, you can run this team at gear 12 with a Relic Captain Rex. As long as you're modded correctly, you're fine. And that's what you'll find with all of these teams. As long as you're modded correctly, you're going to have a good time. And then the final team is Tuscans. And I left this here because they are probably the most limited in terms of what they can do, right? Not so much in terms of aging poorly. I don't think Bad Batch has aged poorly, but it's just not as good as it used to be. But Tuscans are so valuable to have, because if you go up against these Phoenix teams, if you go up against Mothma teams, if you go up against basically any team that's gaining a lot of turn meter, you're going to be able to beat them, even at low gear. And the best thing is, because of the way the momentum mechanic works, you do get that survivability at low gear as well. The other really nice thing here, guys, is Tuscan Chieftain is incredibly fast. Now, I have not got good mods on him. As you can see, I'm only plus 89. But with plus 89, I'm at 293. And also just bear in mind, guys, you can minus 20. So let's say we minus 20 from this speed. There's still 270. So you can easily get Tuscan Chieftains to 330 speed. Easily at gear 12. Because he's just that naturally faster character. There's only a plus 130 mod set, which isn't out of the ordinary. Would you need him to be that quick? No, but if you're using low gear, you do get the protection up, extra survivability on the team. Like I said, Tuscans are a bit more limited. I understand if you don't want to farm them. Just remember that we have one required for the unlock of Jabba, and the other is for the unlock of Lord Vader, so you are going to be farming some of them at some point. But they are an amazing team just to have around at low gear, just in case you see that team that you have nothing else for. Because there are teams that you will face in Grand Arena, in Territory War, that just give you so many issues because you just don't have a counter. And sometimes a team like Tuscans just come in and make your life easy. Anyways, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe share it to your friends or guildmates. You know, everything helps the channel, guys. And with all that said, my name is Glurmit, guys, and I hope you all have a glurmin day.